Welcome to the Crone Stories. I'm Karen. This is a podcast for women in the middle of their lives, and each episode is one woman's story told with care. Before we begin, two small things. If you have not followed the show yet, please do that now, wherever you're listening. It's the one thing that helps these stories find the women who need them. I'm also gathering stories for season 2 right now. If you are somewhere inside your own becoming, or you know a woman who is, I would love to hear from you. You can find me at karenamy.com or check out the form in the show notes. And now, this is one of those stories. Today's story moves us into some of the physical things that happen in our lives as women. Many of us have stories to tell. Bodies doing things we do not have words for. Symptoms nobody explains. Doctors who shrugged. Years we spent thinking it was only us. So before I go into today's story, I want to give you something to sit with. Can you believe that until 1993, women were not required to be included in clinical research funded by the National Institutes of Health in the United States? 1993. I sure as hell couldn't. And yet, oddly, somewhere in the back of my mind, after all of my years of study, I know I had heard this little tidbit before. It just hadn't landed quite the way it landed when I came back to it for this story. Not for cardiovascular medicine, not for cancer trials, not for pain medication, not for drugs that women were and are prescribed every single day. In June of 1993, an act called the NIH Revitalization Act changed that. Before that date, the medical model of a human body was, by default, the body of a man. Now, this is not ancient history. This is the year that Jurassic Park came out in theaters. This is the year that a lot of women listening to this podcast were having their first children, or finishing university, or buying their first homes. The science that most of our doctors trained on, the medications they were taught to prescribe, the symptoms they were taught to recognize were built on a body that was not ours. 33 years later, the catching up is still happening. I want to say this carefully. The medical system is not all bad. But for women, especially for women moving through perimenopause and menopause, parts of it are simply broken. The unkindness, when we encounter it, is real. The dismissal is real. But underneath all of it, the science itself was built without us in the room. And women, in the meantime, have stopped waiting. We are reading. We are researching. We are finding each other in salon chairs and group chats and kitchen tables. We are walking into appointments with charts we built ourselves. And still, this is uncharted territory. Many of us feel lost. Many of us feel alone. Some of us have been given no answers. Some of us have been given too many. And most of us do not know which to trust. Which brings me to today. Today's story is one of them. Her name is Wendy. She owns a salon. She has spent 15 years inside a medical system that could not figure out what her body was telling it. And she figured it out herself. With pH strips, with ingredient labels, with a pharmacist who finally said the right word, with a Botox doctor of all people who finally noticed, with an OB who finally listened. And now she's at the salon doing other women's hair, telling them everything she has learned. She is incandescently funny. She is fiercely loud. She's 41 years old, and she has finally, after a very long time, met herself again. This is Wendy's story. The first thing I noticed about Wendy, and that you should know too, is that she's funny. Not polished funny, not careful funny, the kind of funny that comes out of a woman who has been through too much to bother performing for anyone. We were 5 minutes into our conversation when her dogs lost their mind and her kids appeared in the window, and she was waving at them through the glass mid-sentence, going, "Oh, okay, go. I love you. Go." And laughing. And then she turned back to me and picked up exactly where she had left off, which was about her vagina. I want to tell you that because the story I'm about to tell you is heavy in places. Years of being dismissed, years of waking up at 3 in the morning, convinced she was losing her mind, years of doing her own research because the people whose job it was to help her would not. But Wendy did not arrive at this story flattened. She arrived at it loud and curious and incandescently herself. The fierce humor is not a coping mechanism layered on top of the suffering. It is the thing that kept her looking for answers when the answers were being hidden from her in plain sight. So when I tell you about the dark years, hold that in your other hand. Both things can be true and are. Wendy has had a tumor on her pituitary gland for as long as anyone has been measuring. The pituitary is the gland that runs your hormones. It is the conductor of the whole orchestra. Hers has been off key her entire life, and the medical answer for decades was a shrug. 6 millimeters. They do not operate unless it gets bigger. Never mind that she's a small person with a small head. Maybe that threshold should be built around someone who is her size. That tumor on her pituitary gland was the source of the dysregulation that was sitting right there on every scan she had. Birth control, they said. Just try birth control. She was a teenager. Because of this, she grew up inside a body that had never been allowed to be in its own rhythm. She did not have a baseline of what that felt like. She had stretches of it. She remembers being pregnant and feeling for the first time like a person whose body and mind were not at war with each other. She remembers breastfeeding for 2.5 years and not getting a single period and thinking, oh, this is what other women feel like. This. And then she stopped breastfeeding and the door swung open again. There is a story underneath the story that Wendy tells. The before, the long, quiet before, when something is wrong and no one will say what it is. No one can answer the questions. Wendy was 26 when the dryness started. 26, and they handed her Vagifem, same medication her OB now uses on 80-year-old women. They handed her the Vagifem and they sent her on her way. Nobody asked what else was going on. Nobody connected it to the pituitary. Nobody followed the thread. She just kept showing up, kept saying it was worse before her period, kept saying the itching was unbearable, kept saying she felt like there were bugs crawling under her skin, yeast infections every single month, UTIs in between. Her body would barely finish recovering from one before the next one arrived. She tried to find the pattern herself. She tracked it. She's the kind of woman who tracks things. And the answer every time was try this and see what happens. She's 41 years old, and doctors have been guessing at her body for 15 years. This part of Wendy's story is not unusual. I think a lot of women listening will know exactly what this feels like: the slow disconnect from your own body, the way it stops feeling like home, the way you start to talk about it in third person, like it's something happening to you instead of something that is you. Wendy said it plainly. She said, I felt like there were two of me. There was me and there was my vagina, and we were not on the same team. I think that this is relatable in different ways for so many of us, whether it's your hormones, your gut, your skin, your weight, your sleep, your nervous system. There's a particular grief in being inside a body you cannot trust and learning to manage it from the outside like a problem instead of inhabiting it from the inside like a home. Wendy lived in that gap for years. Going to the gym was a calculation. Sex was a calculation. Soap was a calculation. Whether to put a tampon in or not was a calculation. If I don't pee right after this, I will get a UTI. If this product has the wrong ingredient, my body will burn. If I do this, my body will punish me for it. And here's just one example of what that looked like. It's the kind of detail that gets hidden in plain sight for women everywhere. There is an over-the-counter treatment for yeast infections called Canestin. It's one of the most commonly recommended remedies for one of the most common complaints women bring to their doctors. The internal tablets contain lactose. Wendy is allergic to dairy. Nobody told her that. There was no warning label flagging it for her, and nobody asked. She was putting an allergen directly into the most sensitive, most reactive part of her body every month. And then going to her doctor saying, I keep getting yeast infections. Something is wrong with me. Being given more medication to manage symptoms that were being caused by the medication itself. She figured it out by reading the ingredients list at home on her own. And she said something in our conversation that made me laugh, but also made me very still. She said, if this was a penis, there would be a cow on the front of that package. She was right. She was absolutely, viciously, devastatingly right. There is a casual cruelty in the way women's medications are handled. There is no cow. There is no warning. There is no follow-up question. There is only the woman alone with inflammation blaming herself. Wendy does hair for a living. She has been testing the pH strands of her clients' hair for years. She knows exactly what acidity hair dye needs to be to sit in and to take properly. The science is built into her trade. And yet, no one had ever asked or tested the pH of her own body. A vagina is also pH sensitive. There is well understood science about what a healthy vagina sits at, between 3.5 and 4.5 on the pH scale. Strips to track it cost about $20 on Amazon. She ordered them and she started tracking. And the strips now sit on the counter at her station at the salon that she owns. Some of her clients are uncomfortable. Some of them ask her gently if it's really professional to have those out where everyone can see. Wendy's answer is that nobody complains about a nose swab. The strips stay. She is bringing the chart to her next OB appointment. She knows her doctor is going to think she's a lunatic for showing up with a chart, but she doesn't care. She is done with the guesswork. She is done with the disappearing. First person who got close to the truth for Wendy was a pharmacist, not her GP, not the specialist she had been bouncing between for years. Pharmacist, in a casual conversation, said, I don't think it's your estrogen. I think it's your testosterone. And then, not long after, her Botox doctor said something similar. He looked at her skin. He looked at the changes he had been watching over time, the things that show up on a face when something deeper is out of balance. And he told her, gently, that he did not think it was the estrogen either. He told her she needed to find a good OB. He said this is not as a brush off, but as someone who has been quietly watching over time and has noticed what others were missing. And he actually apologized on behalf of all doctors for not being trained for any of this, for not knowing what to look for sending women in circles for years. She told me about that moment, the fact that it was her Botox doctor, of all people, who had touched her body professionally over the last 15 years, who saw it, who said it out loud, who took the time, who knew enough to point her in the right direction. That moment cracked something open. She went looking for an OB, the way she goes looking, and eventually it brought her to Dr. O'Brien. Dr. O'Brien listened. Dr. O'Brien took her seriously. And she also became the first person in 15 years to actually look, to say out loud, "You are really dry." And Wendy laughed. She said, "This is a good day. I'm having an awesome day today." Imagine this is what an awesome day feels like. And then Dr. O'Brien did something nobody else had done in all those years. She prescribed progesterone, not estrogen, not testosterone, progesterone. The one nobody really talks about, the one that does not make it into the wellness magazines or the casual conversations or the perimenopause books most women are reading. The one Wendy had to fight her way into after years of being handed estrogen creams and birth control pills and shoulder shrugs. She has been on it for 2 months, just 2 months. I asked her what those first 2 weeks were like. She told me her chest opened up. She could breathe again. She could sleep. The high alert nervous system that had been her baseline since her first child was born. Feeling of always having a newborn in the corner of the room, gone. The intrusive thoughts, gone. The skin crawling before her cycle, gone. The waking up 3 or 4 times a night to pee like she was 85 years old, gone. Her skin changed. People at the salon started stopping to ask her what she was doing differently. Hormones, she said. I have hormones again. And with full conviction, she said, you would have to pry that bottle of progesterone out of my hands. There was a second thread that ran through our whole conversation. And I think it matters just as much as the medical piece. Wendy talked a lot about men, not in the way you might think, not bitterly as a sweeping indictment. She talked about men with the clear eyes of a woman who has finally seen what she should have been seeing all along, and who is not going back to not seeing it. She talked about the men who she had been with who did not respect her body, who did not understand or did not care that what they did to themselves affected what happened inside of her. The hygiene, the diet, the dismissiveness about her cycle, her pain, her recovery. She told me about realizing years into all of this that her own pH, her own infections, her own suffering had been influenced by partners who did not bother to take care of their own bodies. That she had been treating her own vagina like the problem when the problem sometimes was sitting in the bed right next to her. She talked about the double standard, about how women carry the shame for infections that often introduced into their bodies by partners with poor hygiene. And then the women go to the doctor, The women get the prescription, and the women go home and try to figure out what they did wrong. Meanwhile, the man who walked in there without washing properly does not get asked a single question. Wendy told me about a women's health clinic in Barrie. She landed there last year after a pregnancy she had not planned for. She had taken Plan B in the days before. She had been told her whole life that Plan B was the safety net, that if something went wrong, you took the pill, and that was that. What she learned at the clinic when she finally got there was that Plan B is not what most women have been told that it is. Plan B does one thing. It delays ovulation. If you have already ovulated or your body is already close to releasing an egg, the medication does not work. Sperm can live inside the female reproductive tract for up to 5 days. The window Plan B can shift your ovulation by is roughly the same window the sperm is already alive inside of you. Wendy had not been told. Most of the women in her life had not been told. The clinic was where she finally got the truth. And not just about Plan B, but about her cycle, about her body, about why she had been doing everything right and still ending up confused, exhausted, in pain. She talked about that clinic the way you talk about someone who has finally believed you after years of being doubted. She called them the wise holders of all answers. She told me that if your own doctor is not getting you anywhere, you can request to be referred there. She told me they handle perimenopause and menopause too. Wendy walked out of that clinic and started making phone calls. A call to her sister, and told her sister the part that had gutted her. She spent so long blaming her age, her body, the thing not sticking, and the clinic had finally told her no. Your body did everything right. Your body accepted the pregnancy. The sperm was the problem. And she had her sister pass on the Plan B information to her niece because she did not want her niece to ever find herself where Wendy had been. Trusting a pill that does not do what many of us have been told that it does. That's just who Wendy is. The information was barely cool in her hands before she was passing it on. She had never once considered that the man could be part of the equation. She knew so many women who had taken supplements, charted every cycle, done every test, and blamed themselves for years. While the men in their lives drank beer, smoked, ate poorly, lived hard, and were never once asked to clean themselves up for the children they were trying to make. She watched women carry the weight of an entire reproductive process alone. She watched them grieve and shrink and apologize when the answer had been on the other side of the bed the whole time. She said, I was respecting his body more than mine, and she's not doing that anymore. She talked with real warmth about the man she's with now, who eats less meat because she told him what it does to her pH balance, and he cared enough to change, who listens when she explains what her body needs, who treats her cycle not as an inconvenience, but as a reality of being a woman, who does not pretend her body's needs are gross or burdensome or somebody else's problem to manage. She said that's what it looks like when a man honors your body. He's not doing you a favor. He's doing you the bare minimum. And the bare minimum is so far above what most women have been settling for that it can feel at first like something extraordinary. She talks about this with her niece. She talks about it with the women in her chair at the salon. She talks about it with the young girls who are just starting to date. The ones who are still in the social media filter generation, the ones who are learning to perform for men instead of choosing themselves. She tells them if a man does not care about your vagina health, he is not a keeper. If a man can't bring himself to buy you tampons, he's not a keeper. If a man will not adjust the thing he is doing that is possibly making your body sick, he is not a keeper. If you are a young woman and the man you're with does not respect your body now, when you are young and healthy, he will not respect it later. When you're carrying his children, when you're recovering from giving birth, when you're exhausted, when you are in perimenopause, when you are old. His hygiene is information, his diet is information, the way he speaks about your body, your cycle, your needs. Your no is information. Believe the information. Women have a right to be treated like queens, not because we are fragile, because of what our bodies do, because we are the keepers of human life, because everybody on this earth came through a woman's body, and that's not a small thing. And the men who get the privilege of being close to that should know it's a privilege. She's right. It is simple when she says it. It is simple. We were not raised to believe we were allowed to ask for it. Wendy is asking for it now, and she's teaching other women by the way she lives that we are allowed to ask for it too. Near the end of our conversation, I asked her what she would say to her younger self. She said she would have been kinder, she would have been less ashamed, she would have stopped blaming her body for things that were not her body's fault. The cellulite, the infections, the shrinking, the apologizing, the years of holding herself to a standard that was built around someone else's idea of what a woman's body should be. She said, I was a lot meaner to myself than I realized. And then she said the thing that I think is the heart of the whole story. She said, I'm not sorry about having a vagina anymore. If you are listening to this and any part of it sounds familiar, I want to say one thing to you directly. You're not crazy. You know your body. Whatever it is telling you, you are not making it up. You're not exaggerating. You're not too sensitive, too dramatic, too anxious, too anything. You are paying attention, and the people whose job it is to pay attention with you have not been doing their job. Keep going. Ask the question. Get the opinion. Find that pharmacist who finally looks you in the eye, or the OB that finally looks. The woman at the salon who has the pH strips on her counter. They're out there. Wendy is out there. There are more of her every day. And as you begin to get to the other side of it, the way Wendy is starting to get to the other side of it, do what she's doing. Tell someone, tell everyone. Be unapologetically loud about your own body in a world that has been training you your whole life to whisper. That is the story that Wendy gave me, the shape I made of the hour we spent together. But there are some questions I ask every woman after she has heard her own story told back to her. 3 of them, the same 3 every time. Here she is in her own voice. So the first question is, what was it like for you to hear your own story told back to you?
It was good. It was nice to hear that. Well, and like, yeah, I think it was nice, to be honest. It made it feel real and valid, that not invisible anymore. And also, like, I like the fact that you think of funny. Like, they made it like there is humor throughout disaster of life. So like, we don't have to do the doom and gloom as we do as women, that we age and we ugly out. So it's nice to see that there's still, like, we can be like, talk about it and laugh about it and also find answers too. So I like it. It was nice. I felt seen. It was lovely. I appreciate you. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and feeling seen is, well, that was kind of my goal for that aspect of it, right? So
Yeah.
what other women hearing the story and what they glean from it is the other aspect. But the one that I wanted was for people to see that, yeah, that they were seen and that their story matters, right?
Totally.
So, yeah. So the second question is, what is alive and what's going on in your life right now that you want to share?
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. Well, I'm like, I just, yeah, just surviving. I guess that's the best way. Yeah, I can't even think of, I don't know, just every, I don't know, just life. Life is lifing. I don't know. That's all I
Right.
can explain. Yeah, life is lifing and just kind of making it through and trying to go along with it and keep my sanity. Thank God they've got my progesterone. That's amazing. Yeah, doubly awesome.
You're
Yeah,
still feeling this. So I wanted to go back to that. You,
yeah,
when we sort of chatted,
yeah.
you were just taking you're have you taken the pH chart into your OB,
So
and how are you feeling on the progesterone?
I haven't met with her yet. I meet with them in September because I'm getting my tubes tied to reclaim my body autonomy. Even though the guy I'm dating is fixed, I still want to take that back for myself. So I'm getting my tubes tied. So then I'll kind of go. To be honest, just life with the kids and I like working and stuff. pH test was showing consistent. I realized the one I had was taking an insert. It was throwing me. So just progesterone's all I need, and I feel awesome and like myself again. And then doing now, guys, I had it since I've talked to you. I had a a mental assessment just for my mental health. And they actually upped my progesterone because it was so low from just life and stress too, that they've actually upped it and it's helped me sleep at night and start regaining my life back again. So how that gets drained also is stress. And it's common with women. So it sucks that they give you sleeping pills first, not progesterone. Yeah. Yeah. Made my life so
Right.
much easier. So I'm on a double dose now and I feel like, yeah, like not so nuts. Like I just, yeah, and normal periods again. Like I'm starting to get normal period times, like 28 days, not 24 days or 23 days. So, and normal
Mhm.
periods, they look normal. I look like
Oh, that's
myself.
good.
So it's really neat how that one little circular pill can really change everything. So yeah, sure.
Change.
Yeah. Amongst the
Awesome.
chaos, it's my glory at the end of the day. It's like my reward.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then if question number three is if a woman was listening to this and they were just a few steps behind you, what would you want them to know?
Not to be ashamed of ourselves. There's so many of us out there and we're so quiet. And the more we share, the more we unite. Women are so deeply suppressed because we've been shamed for our bodies. Like, even this sounds totally off topic, but like even with making my son's decision about like the way with his member just now, like we are so ashamed that we always blame ourselves. And a lot of times with the men's bacteria, we're so uneducated about our bodies and we constantly the shame of like of our smell and our scent. And meanwhile, men have stinky dinks and all this stuff. So like be loud about it. If you have a partner that is in survive, ask him to wash it. It's your body. Like you're allowed to have things not make you sick and do that. So like don't ever be quiet if it has to do with yourself. We've been quiet for way too long. And even just finding out these minor details along the blips of my life, we need to be louder because it can save our future generations. Like my daughter will never, I'll be like, this is like very it's okay to say the word vagina. It's okay to talk, but it's okay to talk about pH balances and bacteria and share that knowledge with my son. Well, he's circumcised now, so it'll be less knowledge. But if he stayed, like that was going to be for him, about cleaning it and his partners and being self-aware of what his end can do. Like if the more we're quiet, the more we suffer in silence. So just be loud, and it's okay because it's not dirty words.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I
it's
think
we're not
that's key.
dirty. We're not
Yeah.
dirty. Our bodies aren't dirty. Our vaginas aren't dirty. They don't stink. They aren't disgusting. There's none of this stuff. The shame has to stop, and we have to stop doing the way we do it to ourselves. So yeah, generational shame. We got to stop it because we're allowed. We're allowed to exist, and just as freely as men with their penises and their gray jogging pants. That's what we should do.
Oh, that's perfect. I love it. Love it. I think that's great advice. Exactly.
Right?
You know,
Yeah, that's why are
is
we?
learn that sooner. Yeah.
Yeah, this I
Yeah,
wish
that's
that's one thing.
perfect.
I do believe that's why. That's why I think my like life has gone in certain ways, but like generationally it ends in my household. Like that's where we're stopping it. And the future, anyone I can talk to about it because we don't have to. Like it's amazing. I actually two of my clients got a progesterone. It's life changing for them. They were gaslit for so long. I said, you got to talk to the right people. So it's amazing hearing these women reclaim their lives and their sanity, and they're only in their 40s. I feel sad for the old generations.
Yeah.
I can see why
Yeah.
they drank bottles of wine. They're trying to chill the fuck out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm of that generation where the study came out, in regards to HRT and all of that kind of stuff and all
Totally.
of the cancer. So I'm sort of that generation where we really stayed away from it. And I get that there's still stuff, and it's got to be
Totally.
a choice. Like if it's whatever
Totally.
it is, it needs to be a choice. But um, yeah, it's interesting when there isn't much research done on women's health that it's
It's
really just a
it's
stab in the dark.
it's so amazing. Like even that Plan B thing. I actually, to be honest, I shared with co-op students. I said, you know, because it kind of comes up in couch. Like I don't seek it because obviously there's inappropriateness. But when they start, because they do ask questions, they talk about things. I said, like, just a basic common knowledge in a health class, what actually like these things are for us, because we've got so many misconceptions. Like we learn about like condoms and poking holes in them. Be careful that way. Then we have this thing. They're like, don't worry, women, just go in and buy this, and it'll save your life from pregnancy and the condom breaks and all this stuff. We have no proper knowledge about anything, and like it's really like there's these people giving it to you. They don't even have the knowledge. Like that's what's mind boggling. So I think that's why we got to be louder about it, and like it has to stop because it's so many things that we don't have control of our bodies. Unfortunately, we live in a world that's so unsafe for us that we need to at least be like have the like just ability to like make conscious choices and know where to call or just take that little bit back. Or even at my age, like it shouldn't be so crazy to get my tubes tied. I got 2 kids. I'm in my 40s. Like let's wrap it up. Instead of being like,
Yeah.
here's an IUD. I'm like, fuck off. Like, seriously? Yeah. Yeah, that's what my answer was. Give you an IUD. Yeah, just,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
like it doesn't have to be such a struggle. It's a woman's world
Thank
now. We're rising up
Mhm.
and we're taking over, and thank God. But we got to be loud.
One last thing, is there anything you want to promote or anything you want me to put in the show notes that you want to promote or anything that's, in your life that you want to promote?
I'm pretty mellow. If people ever just
Okay.
want to like talk, like I'm an open book. So see, if everyone wants to reach out or like you can just like shoot the shit, I'm there for them because I can like even during the storms of things, there's always something funny to find about. Because as long as we unite, like like there's this bond between women. We all share at least similar traumas, whether it's been gaslit or whatever it is. And when you feel heard and seen as a group collective, I think it's so powerful. We can be completely opposite personality types, but people just have that. They just need to talk. Like I'm ready to chat. I got a moment. There may be
That's good.
screaming kids in the background, but I'm around. But yeah, who doesn't have
That's
screaming kids
awesome.
in the background? Yeah, like yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
No,
you. Thank you for
and
letting me have the story
yeah,
and to make the
I've
story and
I've
honor me
totally.
with all of that. I really appreciate it.
No. Cool.
Have a good
Thanks.
night.
Bye. You
Okay.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
That is how it changes. One woman at a time, one conversation at a time, and one story at a time. Thank you for joining me for Wendy's story. You can find references to some of the science and the medical journals in the show notes. Before we close, I have one more thing for you. The sitting a few minutes to carry something with you from today. If you have time right now, settle in. If you do not, come back to this when you can. Wherever you are, when you are ready, take from this what you need. See if you can let your body soften just a little. You do not have to close your eyes if you do not want to. You do not have to do anything that does not feel right. Just notice that you are here. Take a slow breath in through your nose and a long breath out through your mouth. Allow that exhale to fall, releasing any tension in the body. Bringing in that inhale one more time through the nose and an exhale through your mouth. Notice that your body brought you here, to this moment, to this breath, to the end of this conversation. I want you to think for a moment of times when your body has tried to tell you something. The headache that came back every week and you ignored it. Take a breath. The tightness in your shoulders that you stopped noticing. Take a breath. The fatigue that was not just fatigue. Breathe. the intuition you talked yourself out of, the thing you knew deep underneath before anyone confirmed it for you. Stay with the breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Your body has been speaking to you your whole life. You've not always been able to hear it. Sometimes because the volume of the world was too loud. Sometimes because the people you trusted told you that what you were hearing was not real. Sometimes because you were so tired you did not have the room to listen. That does not mean your body stopped speaking. It means it has been waiting for you. Take another deep breath in and let it all go. If there's a part of you that you have come to think of as separate or broken or a problem to manage, I want you to consider, just for a moment, that it has been waiting for you. Not angry with you, not punishing you, waiting. The way a friend you have not called in a long time would wait. Still there, still yours. Breathe in slowly and out more evenly. If it feels comfortable, put a hand on the part of your body that has been talking to you the loudest. Feel it under your palm. And on your next exhale, you can say very quietly, I am listening now. Breathe in, I am here. Breathe out, I am listening. You do not have to fix anything. You do not have to forgive anyone, including yourself. You do not have to be loud. You only have to listen. Take one more long breath in and let it go. You know your body. You have always known your body. And whatever it is telling you right now is true. When you are ready, begin to sense your fingers and your toes. When you are ready, come back to the room. Come back to your day. Bring with you whatever has surfaced. And know that the part of you that has been waiting is glad you finally came home. Thank you for being with me today on the Crone Stories. Thank you for joining me. If today's story moved you, send it to one woman you can name. That is what helps these stories find the women who need them. I will be back with another woman and another story in a couple of weeks. Until then, in love, light, and laughter.